Hey, good morning. Today is Monday, March the 18th, 2024. It is now 7:21 a.m. Welcome to the Echoing Voice. I want to first stress that I am not an expert in the topic of discussion. However, I am just a man, an African man with an opinion. And given the situation in the world today, in terms of the misinformation campaign, in terms of geopolitics, in terms of politics, whether in Africa, whether in the United States, whether in Europe or elsewhere around the world, I do feel like us Africans, our voice on international relations or in topics pertaining to international relations are very much uh, overlooked and not considered. Our grievances and our experiences are not considered. Hence, I want to express my opinions on international affairs, basically to participate in discussion about various topics with the African perspective. I do not speak for all of Africa, but I do believe whether we are talking about continental Africa in terms of its total diversity or just the Black Africa, which is known by many as Sub Saharan Africa. I do believe to an extent I echo the sentiment that is coming from that part, that region of the world. Today, I want to talk about the situation in the United States regarding the move, the drive to ban TikTok, which is a Chinese brand, a Chinese social media platform. So TikTok is basically very popular in the United States and worldwide. Okay, in the United States, a country of about 335 million or so people, 330, 335 million or so people. About 170 million people in the United States use TikTok. It is popular, more popular than Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, I am basing this talk on three articles which I read. The first article basically is a CBS News article, and the title of the article is Forced Sale of TikTok Absolutely Could Happen Before Election Day. Representative Mike Gallagher says. This article is from CBS News. The second article, the title reads TikTok creators warn of economic impact if the app sees ban. Call it a vital space for the marginalized. So we are talking about the use of TikTok by marginalized people, whether we are talking about blacks, uh, Native American, Hispanic, Latino, Asians, so women, and so on, and other groups out there. And the third article is basically an Associated Press article, which reads House passes a bill that could lead to a TikTok ban if Chinese owner refuses to sell. I am going to read some parts of the article, which I basically highlight, and also I will give a general as well as a specific opinion relating to what I think this whole thing mean for not just the United States but for the world, for African people also. From what it seems, Republicans are pushing this ban against TikTok, and Democrats are going along. Now, what is happening here? It bears similarity to the war in Ukraine. There are many people who now are saying that when Trump comes to power, or if he comes to power, he is going to end the war. Perhaps he may end the war because Republicans and many in the United States have come to realize that the Ukraine venture was basically a no-no, was basically a disaster for the United States. They will love to calm down on Russia and go after China. But whether they do that, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to leave Russia alone. As long as Russia remain what it is, powerful enough to challenge the West, they are going to come after Russia. I do believe they will try and destroy Russia, split Russia. In today's discussion in politics and geopolitics, there are many who are saying that Trump is going to end the war that the Democrats, Joe Biden, is pushing in Ukraine. Look, many will say that the Democrats and the Republicans are two sides of the same coin. What Joe Biden did by going after Russia, by pushing the war in Ukraine, is an American policy. When the war started, Republicans were in on it. Now they are basically pushing insults and they are basically blaming Joe Biden and talking about his incompetence. The reason they are doing that is election, is the American politics. Joe Biden initiated an American policy in Ukraine. Joe Biden get choked, so Republicans are basically bashing Joe Biden as a means to win the next election. It doesn't necessarily mean they are going to not go after Russia anymore. They may just say, let's re-alter our politics. Let's now go after China. Later on, we may come after Russia. That's what it is. So this whole idea of TikTok being banned is an American policy. Republicans are pushing it. Democratic president will sign it into law. If it's backfires, Joe Biden gets the blame. Now, let me go back to TikTok. Couple of things that I'm going to read here. The first article, which reads, in terms of its title, forced sale of TikTok absolutely could happen before election day, Representative Mike Gallagher says. The closer we get to an election, the risk just gets greater and greater, Gallagher said on Face the Nation. The question will revolve around what exactly they are buying. Nothing that the algorithm behind the app will likely remain in China. So what we are talking about here is a quote from a Sarah Swisher, who basically is a business and tech journalist. She is saying here that what Republicans or what the U.S. government want right now is to either have TikTok being sold or face the ban up altogether. But Swisher is saying that there's a possibility that we could see a purchase of just the 170 million subscribers to TikTok or user to TikTok without the algorithm, which in itself will be an empty purchase. Now, the second article, which reads, TikTok creators warn of an economic impact if the app sees ban. Call it a vital space for the marginalized. This is an Associated Press article. So the part that I highlighted reads, TikTok, which launched in 2016, has skyrocketed in popularity, growing faster than Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. The push to remove the app from Chinese authority follows concern from lawmakers, law enforcement, and intelligence officials about the insecurity of user data, potential suppression of content unfavorable to the Chinese government, and the possibility that the platform could boost pro-Beijing propaganda, all of which TikTok denies. Social media is a powerful tool, said Bridgewater, who lives in Spring, Texas. And powerful tools are just that. They are capable of helping us transcend our lives, but in their transcendence, they are also capable of completely severing us from those we love. So this is a content creator speaking. This other content creator states, the part that is disturbing to me is, I feel like for a lot of Americans, TikTok and social media in general is a release valve. It is kind it's kind of become a default complaint box, he said. So to many people, it feels like they are trying to ban the complaint box instead of dealing with the complaint. Now, the third article, which is an Associated Press article, reads, I am talking now about the parts of the article that I basically highlighted. We have given TikTok a clear choice, said Representative Kathy McMorris Raja. Separate from your parent company, ByteDance, which is beholden to the CCP, that's the Chinese Communist Party, and remain operational in the United States, or side with the CCP and face the consequences. The choice is TikTok. Another part. The House vote is the latest example of increased tension between China and the United States. By targeting TikTok, lawmakers are tackling what they see as a grave threat to America's national security, but also singling out a platform popular with millions of people, many of whom skew younger just months before the election, or just months before an election, sorry. It is very interesting because what I think is going on is a a warfare going on. That is a war going on between the United States and China, or the United States and Russia. Okay? It is an information war. And I do believe this will backfire, but it does have the information warfare component to it, the economic warfare component attached to it. But also, we need to look at where people like us Africans, okay, and other marginalized people in the world, where do we fit in this information warfare? I remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, we had the misinformation campaign between Russia and the United States. One thing the United States did was an immediate strike, which was basically canceling Russia's RT, Russia Today. And there were many who were complaining that by canceling RT, disabling RT from operating in the United States, it basically lead to the monopolization of information by American media platforms or news platforms that are basically pro-Ukraine or pro-West, and left out the Russian information out. Now, I'm not sure whether you, as a listener, you watching this video, whether you agree or disagree, but it's kind of like what TikTok is. But with the situation to ban TikTok, it's very interesting because now there are a lot of buyers, a lot of people or platforms out there that are making the bids to buy TikTok. But even though the articles and many in the United States, especially in the government, are stressing that this is a move to basically prevent TikTok from accessing American data and then giving it to Chinese. Okay, it's according to many in the United States, in the government or in institutions that are relating to the U.S. government, are saying it is a national security issue. Actually, what it seems to be, and what I believe it to be, is an immediate strike. What is it? Preemptive strike. It is basically a move to go after a platform that is owned by a country that is a staunch competitor to the United States. The truth is, and TikTok itself is a very staunch, a very strong competitor to U.S. Social media platform. Already, as I read in the article, it states that TikTok is more popular than Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. With what happening right now in Ukraine and what's happening in Palestine, I'm not sure what your position is on the matter. And also what is happening in the United States, whether we are talking about Black Lives Matter or other situation, other event. TikTok has become a platform where information is spreading, but it is not controlled by the United States government or U.S. Parent companies. And I'm talking about social media companies such as X or Meta, Facebook now Meta or whatever. That's what it's about. Okay, economically, politically. Okay, China is a strong competitor to the United States. Technologically, China is a strong competitor to the United States. In terms of TikTok, what we are seeing is a move to purchase or to ban a social media platform that is a strong rival to US social media platform, but also a strong competitive social media platform that is not controlled by the United States government or US social media parent companies. With what's happening in Europe and in Asia, okay, in Europe or in Palestine, doesn't matter what the content creator's perspective is. With Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, they could be shut down. But with TikTok, it cannot be shut down because TikTok is a Chinese company. Now, both countries, China and the United States, so far are engaging in information warfare. So it makes sense to China if information, whether we are talking about information that is spread among Americans, Americans created and spread among Americans. In terms of politics, it works in China's favor by having information spread on its platforms by Americans, which could lead to embarrassment for the US government. In that case, if you look at it like that, it does make sense. Okay? This is why I believe they are going after TikTok. With TikTok being what it is, popular and big, being supported by a powerful country, a powerful economy, which is technologically sophisticated. TikTok, in this case, is a threat, and it can serve as a platform that will humiliate the United States, whether we are talking about the government or America as a country. So what is happening is not so much about national security. It is about monopolizing the information before the situation get worse. So the situation that is happening between the United States and China regarding TikTok also is similar to what's happening with Huawei when Donald Trump went after Huawei. But then it basically backfired. Now, I do believe TikTok situation is going to backfire. I may not be able to tell you exactly how it backfired, but I do believe it also relating to the idea of freedom of speech. Okay? The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, okay, which is part of what is known as the Bill of Rights, basically grant or guarantee for American 5 rights, which are freedom of speech, press, assembly, petition, and religion. So already many people are saying that TikTok's ban would be a violation of by the United States government of people's freedom of speech to be able to receive and spread information as they see fit. And it's very interesting because as much as the United States government and many in situations or in institutions relating to the government, as much as they are going to be stressing and they've been stressing the idea of national security, the ban or the attempted ban on TikTok seems to be nothing more than just an attempt by a government or by people to go after a platform, a social media platform, which is both a threat to social media companies in the United States or social media brands in the United States, such as Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And in this case, this social media platform is from a country that is a juggernaut, that is economically, militarily, in terms of information warfare, it's a sophisticated country. And I do believe this is why they are going after TikTok. That's why they're going after TikTok. It has less to nothing to do with national security or the Chinese trying to harvest U.S. Data. Now, there are some economic and social implication to this, as much as information implication. In terms of the economic implication, we can look at the small scale economic activities relating to TikTok, such as individuals, okay, younger people, small average people trying to make content for social media, whether for entertainment or for business purposes. People are making money on TikTok, okay, when they monetize their channels or their accounts. They are able to make that excess funds. There are people who are leaving their jobs to become full-time content creators on social media, on TikTok. So by banning TikTok, the United States is basically creating a situation where it could financially or will financially impact those average people who makes extra income by engaging in activities on TikTok. Already in the second article or so, is it the second article? Yeah, the second article which I read, basically with the title of the article being TikTok creators warn of economic impact if app, that is, if the app sees ban. Call it a vital space for marginalized. So there are people who will be hurt financially. Financially, there are people who are going to be hurt. But also, I do see a possibility where people will begin to turn to other apps that are not American. One way this ban is going to backfire is it is going to create, or it's going to lead to the proliferation, if you will, of conspiracy theory out there. Because look, I've watched, since I came to the United States, I've watched the relationship between the American people and the American government decline. Many people sees their government in negative light. And part of this is due to the conspiracy theory, which in many cases the United States government seem to be part of, seems to generate, seems to be the culprit, the reason, okay, for why conspiracy theory emerges. Whether we are talking about the situation in Iraq, where the United States government tell the world and Americans that Iraq had a nuclear bomb, only for the world to find out nuclear bomb was never there and the United States government knew about it. Whether we are talking about the situation in Ukraine, the situation in Palestine, whether we are talking about Black Lives Matter, whether we are talking about aliens from Mars, whether we are talking about the social aspect of the American lives, whether we are talking about schools underfunding, whether we are talking about the higher education system, whether we are talking about the move, okay, the repeal of affirmative action, all that led to conspiracy theories. And the ban on TikTok will only increase the likelihood that conspiracy theories will spread, and it will lead to discontent in the American situation, which in the long term is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Now, let's look back at TikTok. I remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States went on a blitzkrieg of sanction against Russia. but also RT, Russia Today, got pulled off the air. There were many who were basically egging the United States to get involved directly in Ukraine. Had the United States gotten involved directly in Ukraine, with TikTok being what it is now prior to the ban, in a war where Russia did not attack the United States first, it would have been a disaster for the United States, where Americans are coming home with body bags, and we have social media platforms such as TikTok, which the United States government or the American political or social information system doesn't control. Those images of Americans coming homes in body bags, people being on TikTok, sharing their opinion or voicing their discontent, would have been a disaster for the American government. Already, one of the hottest thing right now on TikTok is people talking about being broke, people talking about the inflation. And this is on a social media platform which the US government doesn't control. And it is being seen all over the world. I think TikTok is also a platform where the perception of the United States around the world is declining. People are seeing the United States in a different light than what is being projected or represented or portrayed of America around the world. I think this is one of the fear that is leading to the drive to ban TikTok. This whole social media thing started with MySpace. MySpace was the platform on which everybody must be to engage, to communicate with others. But then MySpace went rogue, where people were posting all kinds of nonsense on MySpace, especially young people. But then Facebook came about. Facebook was seen as sophisticated, professional, and grown and adult. College students were engaging on Facebook to network, professionals, and so on, teachers. But then you start getting other platforms. But Facebook has become boring. Facebook was very crowded with people doing all lot of stuff. Facebook was very active. For my project, I've created a Facebook account where I go on Facebook. Facebook is boring. A lot of people, when you go on their account to try to friend them, you can see that they have not been on Facebook for a while. But then those people who seem to be active on Facebook are basically sharing a whole lot of nonsense pictures and foolish posts. Twitter became the platform on which you go to just tweet bunch of quick stuff. But then not everybody want to text or type. Everybody want to look good and see themselves on camera. Instagram right now seems to be where everybody go to play. Everyone is on Instagram. Created an Instagram account for my project. Everybody is on Instagram. People are networking on Instagram. While Twitter seems to be the platform for the professionals. Now, it seems that since MySpace died or becomes irrelevant, Facebook took on the baton. But Facebook is becoming boring, or it is boring right now. So the hardest is Instagram, and that's where the young people goes to play. And Twitter seemed to be there for the professional. So if you take away Instagram from the equation, the hardest is TikTok. But in terms of the ban on TikTok, I am seeing that many social media platform owners and individuals in America are trying to buy TikTok. This is very interesting. Over time, it's going to backfire on the United States, and it is showing people even if it is not the intent, it is making people feel as if the attempt to ban TikTok or purchase to buy TikTok, force TikTok to be sold to American platform. It's a way by the government to basically censor the app, okay, the platform, to censor people. Now, if you are the marginalized, in this case, we are talking about me, Africans, from a continent that lacks a workable social media platform or the technological base with the unified, sophisticated government to support that technological base, where our voice is marginalized on the mainstream Western media. Platforms such as TikTok is how we basically connect with one another as African, how we spread information. So the ban on TikTok in the United States could be detrimental to Africans as well. I think we need to look at this closely. We need to be vigilant and we need to speak. Perhaps we must begin to think about how we can influence our government in Africa to support Africans, social media creators, platform creators, to support strong technological base, whether in Nigeria, South Africa, or in anywhere in Africa in general, that will become the Silicon Valley of Africa, so we can create our own. Because the truth is, social media platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, most especially Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok, has been very kind to Africa, has been the manner by which we Africans connect with one another, as much as spreading, okay, that means sharing and receiving information from one another, from the African community, from the African diaspora, and from the rest of the world. But I will end this by saying that the move to ban TikTok is a political move, which is basically being influenced or pushed by a government fear of a social media platform that it doesn't control. And there is a fear that information on that platform, whether we are talking about Ukraine, the situation in Palestine, Black Lives Matter, affirmative action in the United States, or other topics in the United States that the government does not control, and that is a fear to lead to the purchase of TikTok so that the government or the American institutions can be able to control it. Because as powerful as TikTok is, reaching 170 million people, not being controlled by America or being controlled by an outside government that is as strong and powerful as China, is a problem for the United States. But also the ban on TikTok is leading to many Americans losing portion, okay, significant portion of their financial being, because they were making, or they are currently making, some of their living, some income from TikTok. But also, it shows that something in terms of the politics, okay, whether we are talking about America versus the rest of the world or within America, as well as the small and large scale economic implications, such as the average people versus the government, or the average people versus the tech tycoons out there, and many within the political sphere who want to see the sale or the purchase of TikTok. I am going to end here. Once again, thank you very much for watching The Echoing Voice.